Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the channel. We've got a lot to cover in today's video. We've got a new patch, but it doesn't bring any balance changes. However, we do have information from the developers that conversations are taking place about weapon balance, and this is a hot topic internally at the studio. And there's probably going to be some big changes coming soon. This is going to be insane. Okay, let's break all of this down. Firstly, let's take a very quick look at the actual patch itself. So there's crash fixes. Fixed a crash triggered when the host left after a player hot joined. Fixed an occasional crash in the loadout menu. Fixed a rare crash when transitioning to or from the ship. And miscellaneous fixes are fixed players getting stuck on the mission summary screen when the host leaves, which happens a hell of a lot, that does. Fixed the issue of non-purchase super credits not being visible in the warbond overview screen. Optional account linking is now available in the account section of the in-game settings. Fixed Steam app ID supplied invalid or not allowed being shown due to a different error. Fixed attachments on weapons showing up as purple question marks in the tutorial in some cases. An airburst proximity explosion is now triggered only by enemies and Helldivers, and the AR-61 tenderizer now has the correct color scheme. So that's the patch. There's no balance fixes in this. It's just a kind of like a hot fix patch. A big patch is coming soon, but let me show you why we know that. This is Evil Boss, one of the devs over on Discord, and in response to this comment, I would love to see primaries not getting gutted constantly for once. But I'm probably asking for too much. Our CEO is doing a major internal push on balancing. A lot of meetings and a lot of chats going on. So, Johan did say this on Twitter. He said, look, there's going to be discussions about this. There's going to be meetings about this. He wants the game to be fun. He doesn't want patches and balances to sort of push the game more in the direction of your standard PvP game. He wants it to be fun. So this is a hot topic right now. This is great news. We also have Twinbeard over on Discord addressing this as well. So he went on a bit of a spree answering a ton of questions. We are going to cover them in this video. However, he says this about the weapon balance. Yeah, we're aware there's a lot of concern regarding warbond cadence and us possibly overbalancing or nerfing too much. We're discussing it a lot internally at the moment. So this is good news, right? And I actually think there's a positive to take away from this, because I was expecting this morning to wake up and there's a patch for Helldivers, and it's going to be some sort of giga buff patch. They've just gone in with a sledgehammer and they've just buffed weapons here, right, all over the place. It's just insane, right? All the weapons doing crazy damage. And we're like, this game is just insane, what's going on? Actually, though, they're sitting back, they're taking stock, they're having meetings, they're probably reprioritizing the way they're going to balance the game, hopefully for more fun with the weapons, make them more powerful, make them feel fun to use, and then they're going to go from there. So this is something we're going to get updates, I would imagine, on probably next week. I wouldn't expect to see updates this week on it, but still, it's good news. Now, there is also the other thing about the cape. The cape isn't actually in the game at the moment. We don't know what's going on with that. I presume that's nearly finished because the CEO was teasing it recently. But yeah, maybe that'll come in when the next patch drops. So yeah, I probably outside chance there'll be a patch on Thursday or towards the end of the week. And then, yeah, I'd be looking towards next week for possibly the first of a series of balance changes maybe. But it's good news that they are discussing this a hell of a lot. So what about the mechs? Well, Twinbeard says this. I know the mech's been a bit iffy and that there are some things we're working on. Would have to check for details with colleagues on it though. So this is good news. They are working on the mechs. The mechs are... The rockets still explode on the mechs. The accuracy of the rockets is terrible. Yeah, they do need some... They need looking at. But again, I'm not really too fussed that the mechs are super strong against Terminids specifically, and then not that great against automatons. I mean, automatons are going to shoot you from range and kill you. We do know there are other mech variants, so maybe some of those will show up fairly soon. Maybe they will if they're working on the mechs internally, maybe looking to buff them a little bit. So when we get the autocannon variant of the mechs, that could be pretty strong when it comes out. But yeah, expect a mech balance at some point. This user asked Twinbeard, what about a test server? And he says, hey, yes, there are. I can't say for sure there will be or at what stage we're in regards to setting shit up, but alternatives similar to that are being discussed. Yes, thanks for the input. So a test server could be quite good, couldn't it? Because I think this game would definitely benefit from a PTR style server where you can go in and test the weapons and provide feedback to the devs, because it seems like the devs think things are really good and then actually they're not. And the player base finds out within moments, hang on a minute, this weapon is trash, I'm not going to use it, or this is bugged. So they definitely would benefit from that. The thing is, though, it really increases the workload of the developers, because then you've got to maintain 2 public builds of the game, and it becomes quite difficult. But anyway, this is good news. I would personally like a test server. Twinbeard then goes on to talk about the cadence of updates and how hectic things have been since launch. Another thing is that the cadence and initial months since launch have been high and hectic respectively. We're still playing catch-up, and there are undoubtedly elements in the game process that have suffered from that. We're getting there, and I hope we can continue to swing our destroyer around and go forward in a clear direction together with you. So yeah, the thing is, like, it's almost like the irony of a live service game. The developers are also a live service, and they're learning as things go on, and they'll adapt, they'll evolve, and the studio will evolve, and the community evolves with them. So it's like a process of evolution, I guess, with every party that's involved in the game. So yeah, it has been hectic for them, and you've got to feel for them, but obviously they've had a lot of success. So yeah, now's the time to, I guess, knuckle down and learn the lessons and crack on, as my old man would say. What about player polls and using them more often? Twinbeard says, so both here and more detailed ones externally. The last week has been hectic, and then some. There'll be more for sure. Oh, the only thing I'd say on player polls, it would be nice to see them actually in the game, instead of on Reddit or on Discord, as they've been using a lot. Or even on Twitter. We've seen the CEO use Twitter polls as well. But yeah. Twinbeard also again goes on to talk in a bit more detail about the workload the developers have been suffering with. It is, but if you ask me personally, I think the biggest issue so far has been that we were overwhelmed already by launch. It takes time, a lot of time, to bounce back and get ahead with such massive pressure. And what can easily be perceived as us being slow or not listening is more, in my honest opinion anyway, the fact that we're still not up to speed. Also, the game is still only 3 months old, but due to it being such a massive success, there's a ton of sentiment, opinions, suggestions and great feedback, some of which we lack the time and resources to always handle satisfactorily. We're hiring and learning though. So there's a few key things here. So firstly, they're hiring. So they're increasing the size of their studio. And this makes sense, right? The game's blew up. You do need a bit more, I guess, people power to make the game. You know, it's just simple, right? So things get bigger, you need to get bigger. So I understand that. Obviously, it takes time to bring people on board and bring them up to speed. But I think as well, this is, again, a very honest view and sort of a look behind the curtain as to what's going on at Arrowhead. They're not coming out and making statements like as if they're on top of the world, we're the best, and we all know this. They're saying, look, we are overwhelmed. This has been a massive success. We're trying to catch up with things. And we know they've been reprioritizing things internally because as your game grows, you need to change. You can't just stay, you know, stuck on whatever the plan was before launch. I think also the other interesting thing about this comment, I mean, if I read this again, a lot of time to bounce back and get ahead of with such massive pressure. And what can easily... sorry, I missed it. I think the biggest issue so far has been that we were overwhelmed already by launch. That was the point I wanted to highlight. They were already overwhelmed before launch. And then the game launched and it's got even worse. So, yeah, again, a very down-to-earth response here. Not a PR washed response at all. Just telling you the straight facts. And that's what I like about this studio. It's so good to see. He also responds to a question about weapon balance. We should absolutely strive for as many weapons as possible, having a distinct feeling and personality. I couldn't agree more. Hopefully, we can make improvements in terms of balance, etc., to keep more players satisfied. Now, I think this is coming out of whatever the prevailing discussion direction is from these internal weapon balance meetings, in which it just needs to be fun, doesn't it? Yeah, we need some sort of balance, obviously, but the weapons need to make you feel like a badass. When you're firing, they need to sound great. They need to have like heavy weight to the impact, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You know, they need to feel good. If they don't feel good, they ain't going to feel good and players ain't going to use them. And guess what? Your game is kind of about the way the weapons feel. And if they feel crap, people won't play with them. So this is good news again, right? I can't actually think of a negative here. This is just good. So yeah, keep going. He also addresses the PSN effect that's had on the studio. I think it should have. A major thing lately, though, have been the massive pressure. Heck, even since launch, really, but especially the past week. Communication is essential. Also, when shit like the PSN gate happens, a lot of things come to a halt. Many of us at Arrowhead more or less lost a week due to this, and only now are slowly getting back to what we were doing before all of this, and that's not even with it not being entirely resolved as well. But we want to do a lot of other things as well with Helldivers and Arrowhead. Vlogs, streams, interviews, community events, competitions. Hopefully, we'll manage to get there and communicate changes and feedback to the game. So yeah, you know, again, it goes without saying, the PSN drama was terrible. And this probably caused a massive, like, hell bomb, I guess, of negativity throughout the studio. Morale would have tanked. everything they've worked for, they're just seeing completely slip away, and it had to be fixed. Yeah, it would have been a disaster, and you can understand that that resulted in literally a week of lost work. And then finally, Twinbeard is asked about the PSN country lock, and the user says, I hope Sony will free the country lock soon. I know some people, and then goes on to elaborate. And Twinbeard says, well, yeah, we hope so too. So yeah, it's still not resolved, but the devs obviously want the game for sale in every country in the world because there's no PSN requirement for Helldivers. So really, with that being removed, yeah, it should go back on sale. But again, this is an issue with the publisher, so we need Sony to basically sort this shit out. And will they? Who knows? Sony has just announced that 12 million copies of Helldivers 2 have been sold across PC and PlayStation 5. This obviously is a massive achievement, and this is actually as of May the 5th, so this is before the refunds kicked in and all of that stuff. Now, we've got this data from Sony themselves because they've released, their financial report for the quarter, in which, yeah, profits are down and things not looking too great for PlayStation. Sales are down, they've missed sales targets, they haven't sold as many PlayStations and all of that, which is natural. I mean, we're getting towards the end of the lifespan of that console, surely. I mean, we know a PS5 Pro is coming out at some point. I don't know whether that'll do too much to reinvigorate players, I'm not sure. But the big news about Helldivers is, the reason it's got this successful is because it launched on PC at the same time. And this is the message which I think a lot of game companies and publishers are getting, well, they're getting the message on this because they are starting to simultaneously release games across platforms, and obviously PC is a massive platform, so you want to release on that platform. And I think that's the takeaway from all of this. Helldivers 2 has done incredibly well. It is a really good game, but also the fact that it was on PC really helped it, because if this was just a PS5 exclusive, I'll be completely honest, I wouldn't have played it. I literally would not have played this game. The CEO also tweeted about this a few seconds ago and says, as announced in the Sony earnings call, we have sold over 12 million units. It's crazy to think that there are more Helldivers than there are Swedes. What a massive achievement from everyone involved in realising Helldivers 2. A massive thank you to the community for your support, passion and dedication in the fight for democracy. All love. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. Like I always say at the end of my videos, commenting, liking and subscribing really does help the YouTube algo, and it shows your support of me and the channel, which is amazing. I just can't believe people still watch my videos. It's insane. But thank you once again, guys, and yeah, I'll catch you lovely lot on the next one. See you soon.